It's been probably about 3 months, I think, since we did the last live stream, and I think it's been too long. So we should have done something a little bit sooner. But here we go. And what I intend to do, hopefully, is to give you a little bit of overview of what we've done recently, what we're planning to do, what's good, what's bad. I think people who've watched this before know that I'm reasonably honest and straightforward as to what we've been good at and what we've been bad at. I don't try and sugarcoat it. Of course, I talk about the future with a positive outlook, and I will do the same again now. But I'll try and cover, not just the good things, but some of the bad things. So it usually takes 25 minutes, something like that. Let's start off with the market. What do we think is happening in the market? What's good and, again, what's bad in the market? I think the key for us was, of course, COVID had such a dramatic effect on the global financial markets, and crypto, like practically every asset except gold, had a really rocky period. It fell down dramatically. I can't remember the final price, but it was around $4,000, something like that. And then it recovered. And I think that is the key here. There's been a lot of talk over the last 4 or 5 years. Is crypto just another bubble waiting to burst? And I think if it was a bubble that was waiting to burst, the perfect opportunity passed us in the last few months, and it did not burst. In fact, if anything, it is now stronger than it was pre-COVID. So we had a rocky period. We recovered, and now we're actually, what I would say, is in growth mode. And all indications, we can't really see anything that says we're really in for another a tough ride. We think we're in for a very positive period. There's all sorts of clever charts and graphs we could show, but generally we think that there is a very positive period ahead of us. You've got the US now talking about digital currencies. You've got the Chinese digital currency. Libra is still alive, although I think they now call it something else, and so on. So, we don't give predictions as to the price of a particular token, but we do think this market is going to be positive between now and the end of the year. And probably when I do a live stream at the end of the year, I'll look like an idiot, but generally we do think everything is going to be on the up. Not everything, but generally on the up. What I'd like to do is try and show you a few images and slides if I can. It's not so easy on this. So first of all, I'm just going to shut down this, and hopefully you guys can still see a presentation which I've got. So let's talk about what we've done well over the last few months. Finally, we got our Visa card launched. Success, delayed success, let's say. I think it's a pretty good card. It has some very nice features. It's reasonably priced, and in our tests, it's 100% success in terms of payments. Of course, there will always be the odd payment that's rejected or whatever, but not due to our network. The Visa program is primarily for Europe and key countries. We are in very detailed discussions with a company to launch in the US. In fact, Visa are so happy with us. I mean, I'm singing our praises here, but are so happy with us that they put us on a fast track program. And what that means is now if we want to launch in the US, we don't have to go through the 9 months of authorization processes, etc. We've had all that. And they will even make a contribution to our marketing costs and other key features. So they are very positive. We have a very nice partner. And we are now just in the final stages of sort of agreeing the details as to our US potential launch. We're not saying for definite we're going to launch in the US. There are still some issues, but all the various steps to get us there are in place. We had a lot of positive, what I would say, feedback in terms of the press. I think we had in total about 60 small articles, some of them quite big. We even got a minor article in Forbes. So if you did any sort of research about the Crypterium, the card was a key driver to that. We try not to just bombard the community with marketing. There has to be something to talk about, and when we do, we get quite a nice hit. So we also, for example, launched Dash. Nothing particularly special for me in Dash launch. It's just we launched it, and again, the feedback on that was really quite positive. We got a lot of articles on Dash, and I would say generally we have been a lot more present in the marketing sphere than we were prior to the last, say, 6 weeks. It is something that we're really focused on. A lot of you contact me on Telegram or on email and say, we should be doing more. We had a period, I'm sure those who follow us closely know that we changed some parts of our marketing team, not always an easy thing to do, and the new team now I think are making great progress, and we've now got a lot more marketing and communication out there. We also launched quite a lot of new currencies. This is probably very difficult for you to see if you're looking this on a phone or even on a small computer, but we now have a lot of currencies in our wallet. The wallet, in terms of volume, I've taken obviously the exact numbers of this, but you can see that the big daddy of them all is Bitcoin. Then our own token is about 50% of the Bitcoin volume, then Ether, and then you can gradually go down. It's not all the tokens, I didn't put them all in. But you can see that just adding a token, it's not a huge number. It's several hundred transactions in the last 7 days using Dash, but all of these tokens give people a different reason to be using the platform. And I think I'm not particularly focused on Dash here. It's just as an example why we add tokens. We add tokens because it gives people much more opportunity. And also we introduced what we would call is cross-pairs. I don't know what the exact phrase that we should use here, but cross-pairs. So you go into most exchanges. If you try to convert CRPT on an exchange into Litecoin, you cannot do that. I mean, you'd have to do a transaction and then do another transaction. Eventually, you will get there. So what we have put inside our application is that we can now mix all our various currencies. So whether you want to convert Dash for Litecoin, you're able to do that, which I think is a very nice feature. We obviously are doing a number of transactions behind the scenes, but it does enable the customer to do everything in one go. We've also increased the limits of our payouts. Now, we had a facility where you could pay out to people, I think it was €150 to a MasterCard. It was useful, but not particularly super exciting to be able to pay out €150. We've now brought on a number of different providers, and we are now able to pay up to 4,000. I think it's 4,900, may even be €5,000 to a particular card. The benefit of that is, of course, you have individuals who might want to make a large payment, and they can now do that with crypto. But unfortunately, for many people in the past, that was just not possible. €150 was just not particularly useful. But what makes it very exciting for me is I've talked about in the past that we want to do white label, and white label enables us to do a number of features that other companies can't do. And where we are on white label is that we've added a whole range of additional products. And I'll just talk about white label in general and then how I link that back to this particular product. So first of all, the white label product is a general carbon copy, let's say, of our platform branded under somebody else. Now, in the last, I think, 6 weeks, we've signed on average 2 new major clients per week. So we've done something like 15 new major clients in the last 6 weeks alone. And each one of those will bring on a significant user base. We have one partner, which is a very large multi-level player that has over 150,000 users. And they will be ordering 40,000 plus of our Visa cards, and they'll be paying all their users, etc., using the white label platform. Now, what that makes that's part of a fantastic picture, and we're doing something I think differently than everybody else here. Everybody else is going pure retail play, and there's many retail players out there. And some of you might think that um, we we should go down that path, and of course we are focused on that path. But we are also focused on a slightly different route, and I think the white label route is very exciting. And in the white label environment, there are a huge number of things that people just cannot do, and one of them is mass payouts. So, for example, there are many companies out there that would like to do a mass payout to their user base using cryptocurrency, and that cryptocurrency would be converted into a fiat currency when it gets to the users' wallets, etc. That's very difficult to do. We can now do that. We can now do that up to 5,000 euros. So we could have a partner that has, let's say, 1,000 users that all need to be paid anything from 0 to 1,000 euro each. They can provide us with a simple Excel spreadsheet. We can feed it into our API program, and effectively everybody gets paid using our new feature, which I think is a very nice feature indeed. In terms of the more, let's say, higher risk industries, some of those industries have to pay as much as 8-9% to make a transaction. We've basically found a model which will enable people to be paid using our white label system. We call it Crypto Jeton. If we use a voucher type system, which will enable people to be paid for a price of 2 or 3%. So within the white label environment, having this ability to be able to make large payouts was very important for us, and it's really been a very attractive feature. In terms of what's coming next. Oh no, before we talk about what's coming next, let's talk about the things that we didn't do very well recently. So yes, we launched Visa, very happy with that. We have not had a very successful period, let's say, for sake of argument, with our Union Pay card. Now, it launched very successfully. Everything was going really nice. We found a provider that was doing everything properly. But the way the system works is that the card issuer that has the license with Union Pay, they got themselves into difficulty, and it's nothing we could do about it. It had nothing to do with us. They breached a few rules. They got themselves a bad partner that probably broke a few of the Union Pay rules, and that had a knock-on impact to us. We did everything we could to try and fix that problem. We provided guarantees, we provided all sorts of legal support materials, but at the end of the day, we were affected by the partner not anything to do that we could fix. So we've put in place a process to enable people to either recall the money themselves directly from the card issuer. They're called EPL, it doesn't really matter. But in our negotiations with them this week, we will have a solution that is more elegant than that, and by the beginning of next week, we will have a situation where we are confident that we will just get all the money back and deposit it in our users' accounts. We probably will not be relaunching the Union Pay card anytime soon. Union Pay, for all their positives, have shown they're not as crypto friendly as Visa, and our focus has now shifted primarily onto the Visa network. As I said, we have launched the card, and we have a good opportunity to launch something for the USA and Canada as well. And I think between those two, we should be able to cover most of the globe. It's possible we might come back to Union Pay, but right now Union Pay is really making things very difficult. And as I say, we had very little success in trying to fix things ourselves. So we will have a situation where everybody gets their money back. We also gave everybody who could either compensation, or we gave them the opportunity to get a new Visa card. Most people have taken the opportunity of a new Visa card, which in the long run is good for everybody. We also had a problem with Twitter. This is a bit stupid in my opinion. We had a problem with our own phone. We had lost access to a phone. Really a disappointing situation, but that is the reality of what happened. And then Twitter had its own problems, and then trying to fix that problem during that period just proved almost a nightmare for everybody involved. We had so many people trying to help us on this. Eventually we got it back, but during that period, it obviously didn't reflect well on us because people assumed that Twitter had taken us down for breaches of their policy or something. None of that is true. We just simply could not get them to switch us back on using a new phone and SIM, and it was a lesson for us, and we have to hold our hand up there and say we got that wrong. Now we will not have that problem again. But at least Twitter is back. So within the next few weeks, we are launching, I think, 3 or 4 key products. The first one, which I'm most interested in, is the predictions. It's an ability for us to be able to guide our users as to what we think is going to happen on a particular token. Now, this is really very specific as to what we will be able to do. We will have a predictive tool against over 100 tokens, and we will be able to predict what that token is likely to do compared to Bitcoin. Now, it's not compared to, say, a dollar or the euro, but it will predict what we're likely to do against Bitcoin, whether it will be up or down. So, for example, we would be able to say that with a 50% certainty or an 80% certainty, Ether will be at a certain price tomorrow or above. Now, we've done that because we have access to really a very clever AI system that tracks all of the token community chatter, whether it be on Twitter or whether it be through the internet or whatever it is. And it really does make very accurate predictions. Now, of course, nothing is 100% accurate, so it doesn't get it right every single day. But in our tests over the last 12 months, it gets it right pretty much every single month. So if you followed the advice on every single day over a monthly period, our predictive technology it's not 100% of course, but it is a very high success rate. And we just think that will be a very interesting feature. So when you combine the predictive technology with 20 odd tokens that we will have on the platform, we are adding more tokens, and the ability to cross-pair all of those tokens, what that will enable people to do is say, okay, the predictive technology says we should basically put some money into Dash today. I'll take the money out of Ether because it says Ether is probably going to go down and Dash is going to go up. Now, on an exchange, that would be possible, but a little bit painful. On our platform, it will be a very, very simple process, a couple of buttons, and it's done. I think it's a very exciting feature that we have, and I think everybody, when they see that, will say, well, that's actually a significant differentiator. And I'll repeat that about differentiators. There are many companies out there doing some really fun, exciting things on Visa cards, for example. You can get cashback here, or you can get free Spotify access, or you can do all sorts of things connected to the card. But what we have found is that the card gets people into the application, and then people put all their energy into other things. So they will come into the application, they will order the card, they will load the card, and some people will use the card very actively. I use my card as my primary card. But many other customers use the card as the entrance fee almost. Oh yes, you have a card, okay, you must be a decent application. And then they focus on exchange, or they focus on buy, or they focus on cash out. And rather than trying to compete with everybody on all of those wonderful features that you might see attached to a Visa card, which would only really be useful for a very small percentage of the user base. As I've said before, we're very heavily interested in large white label partners, and as I said, we're signing up roughly 2 a week now for quite some time. Some of them are very big, and the investment side of the equation, because we think that the investment side is really where people are still active. They are still holding their tokens and investing their tokens. Not as many people as we expected are actually spending their tokens. So, the whole idea of the predictive technology together with the cross pairs is very important for us. The next interesting thing for us is how do we then differentiate our card? So if our card isn't the same as everybody else's, and we're not going down the let's add Spotify, etc., we've got to make our card as usable as possible. So we've got 2 features. Within the next, I'd hate to say 2 weeks, but let's say within the next 4 weeks, we launch Apple Pay. And very soon thereafter, or at the same time, we launch virtual cards. Now, those two things combined are very important, because what that means is when somebody downloads the application and they want a card, right now it takes, no matter how hard we try, it still takes 7 to 14 days to get the card to a person, even if they do the application. And then they have to pay a small fee to get it, etc., through the post. We are launching with a virtual card, and the virtual card can be then used as part of Apple Pay. So that means that the person can start using the application with a card payment with immediate action, within minutes of signing it up. When people have loaded the card in the future, they will see that that's also pretty instantaneous. So we give the customer instant access to start using the application. And then once they've sorted the card out, as I said, many people just put the card then to one side and say, okay, I've got a card there, I can use it if I need to. And then with the investment features that we've got, they then move on to that. So we've got high payouts up to 5,000, which can be used by both corporations and for individuals. We've got multiple pairs that people can use, and we will have a predictive technology that gives people, I don't know, a bit of fun or to take it very seriously, whichever they type of user that we are. It will give them really something quite exciting to use. We also want to sort of expand the range of services, so we have both loans and deposits. I've been talking about this for a long time, and I would say it's something we have let ourselves down on. I expected they would have been launched by now, but they have not been launched. The technology is there. The final bits, I suppose, are being put in place. They will be launched during the late summer period. And I think that that's the key for us. Everybody always wants us to copy spend.com or to copy somebody else because they've launched a new feature. You have to pick a strategy and stick with it. Our strategy is, we are very interested in the retail space. Yes, of course we are. We are exceptionally interested in the corporate space because we think nobody else is in this space, and we have really good success here. And I'll talk briefly about the token on that, how that works. And we are very interested in the investment space. And when you combine the corporate with the investment space and what we've been doing and getting the tokens ready and the predictive technology, I think we have something that fundamentally differentiates us from every other player out there. And definitely when we talk to the corporates, they agree with us. And one of them, the one I mentioned before that has over 100,000 users, they went to one of our very big competitors and they paid a very, very large fee to that competitor to get up and running. And they got cheated. They had to come to us then afterwards and say, can you do it? And we can do it for a much better price and much quicker. And I would hope that maybe on the next live stream I can start to introduce some of these clients, because the problem is, of course, they want to do it under their own brand. They don't want it to be presented as, oh, by the way, we're using Crypterium. They want to show that they have got their own application and their own features inside their own platform. So we can't just say, oh, by the way, we're doing it for such and such an app, because they don't really want us to. But I think by the time I get the next live stream, I'll be able to give maybe some practical demonstrations of some of those partners. Also, I mentioned the token. So some people might ask, well, what benefit is that to our token users? Well, we are still applying the CRPT token burning and charging structure inside those applications. So it might not appear that way in terms of how the application works, because many of our customers have their own token. And of course, they want to use their own token in many different ways. But there are features behind the scenes. So we are, even if it is not actively shown that it is our token, it might be the customer's own token that looks as though it's being used as a transaction. There is a process behind the scenes that would then convert that token into our token, and then our token is then burnt in the same way. So if we bring on 100,000 users who all do $100 every single month, they are all doing exactly the same thing as though it was a retail app, and the token will be used as a burn. So I think we will see a significant rise in that side of the equation in the coming weeks, and the proof will be in the speed of our burning. I think you'll see the type of transactions that are coming through. So that is the core questions people always ask me, are we launching on another exchange? No, we're not. I repeat it over and over again. We do not see value in adding to additional exchanges. I know some people disagree with that. We've spent a lot of money in the past moving on to exchanges to only see effectively just a migration of a few people from one exchange to another. I know other people will argue that the greater the liquidity and the greater the presence, the better you will have in terms of token activity. We just haven't seen that through experience. We launched on the BEP2 platform. There was no liquidity. We took a long time to fix that problem. My apologies for anyone who was waiting longer than you would have liked, but we had to basically give people the opportunity to go back to an existing standard token. So we just don't really see the value in launching on many exchanges, although, as I say, I know many of you will disagree with me on that. In terms of licenses, that's always a topic that comes up. We are in the final stages of getting our approval from the UK. It's not a full e-money license per se, but it gives us full range to carry on doing cryptocurrency activities out of the UK. Right now, anybody who's really taken any notice in this, we are out of Estonia. Estonia was very friendly to crypto companies when they set up. Coinbase, for example, is still out of Estonia. But hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of these changes in the UK. We're at the very final stages, and I think that will then give us an opportunity to move some of our legal features into the UK, which also gives us much more credibility when we're talking to partners, etc. No, I don't want to sound as I'm knocking the Estonians here, but I think most people recognise that the UK financial institutions have a higher international standing than Estonia. And I will do another live stream, hopefully in 4 to 6 weeks, something like that, when I will then be able to show these products, or at least some of these products as live. And definitely by the next time we have a live stream, we will have Apple Pay, we will have virtual cards, and at least one of those products will be launched late summer. I think probably it will be the predictive side first, because that's the thing I think is most interesting to many people. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to try and upload some slides now, and I wish you all the best. And as ever, please send me questions on Telegram. I think those people who send me questions will acknowledge that I do respond. Sometimes it takes me a few days because I do get a lot, but I do try to respond to everything. Okay, thank you everybody, and goodbye.